For today's lesson, we will be dealing with population growth and carrying capacity. For today's I can identify the factors that change a population's growth or decline. Our guiding question for today are actually two different questions, and you're going to want to go ahead and write these two down because in between the lesson, you're going to need to be able to refer back to them and answer them. For our question, we have of population change has how many factors? And for carrying capacity, we have can carrying capacity for an area change or is it constant? For today's agenda, we will have a review over vocabulary and summary and population growth. We're going to introduce carrying capacity. We have an activity at the very end, and following the activity, we will have question time to make sure that each and every one of your questions is answered along with the guiding questions. To start off population growth and carrying capacity, we are going to go into the basic of population. Population is the total number of people or inhabitants living in a specific area. Inhabitants can also mean animals or living creatures in these areas can range from country, region, or given space. For a side note, when we get to the underlined parts in today's lesson, those are the ones that you're going to want to copy for reference. Here we have an example of population, a population of penguins in this particular space and penguins alone. Following population, we have population growth, which is the increase in the number of people or inhabitants. Since population growth and the definition is not underlined, you can go ahead and just list population growth with the arrow on the bottom. Opposing population growth, we have population decline. This is the reduction in the number of people or inhabitants. Again, like population growth, you can go ahead and write population decline with the arrow going down. Now is when we begin to get into the factors of population growth and decline. And the first one we have on our list is going to be neutrality. These are the birds within the population. Again, these are starting to be underlined, so you can go ahead and start writing these down. Second on our list, we have mortality, which is the deaths within the population. Third, we have immigration, the arrival of individuals from outside of the population. For immigration, you can probably remember or had heard the word immigration when learning about the life cycle very early on of the butterfly and how they immigrate during specific seasons. Lastly, we have immigration, which is the departure of the individuals from the population. You can notice how somewhat is familiar sounding to immigration, but immigration is the arrival, meanwhile, immigration is a departure. So you can go ahead and make a note of that. When dealing with the population growth, you will hear exponential growth. A population increases by a fixed percent. A fixed percent of a large number produces a large increase. Here you can see an example of what exponential growth would look like on a chart. But we will not be dealing with the formula, but exponential growth goes into population growth and carrying capacity as you have a visual. The visual is not something that you need to copy. Last but not least, within this lesson, we have carrying capacity. Carrying capacity is the maximum population size of a species that its environment can sustain, hold, or better yet, carry. You will also need to know that carrying capacities can change. Here you will see a small visual or cartoon based on the carrying capacity and another viewpoint on it. So here on the bottom, we have the grass, which can be a food provider for one of the organisms, and the water, which is very necessary to life. So given the question, how many organisms can we support? And that is exactly what carrying capacity is. So that is it to wrap up population growth and carrying capacity. Now we're going to get into an activity time. This is an activity that will be completed individually based on prior lessons and using your imagination. The lesson explains, draw a picture of any ecosystem of your choice of factors of population decline did not exist. So what that means is that if the factors of population decline did not exist, how would your ecosystem look? For example, using habitat destruction, if we had a wildfire come about in a forest, but all the animals who have the ability to fly and run fast would be wiped out. You all should look into all the factors of population decline, which were the ones that were underlined. Some are population growth and some are population decline. You need to go ahead and decide which one you're going to use for decline and how they affect an ecosystem if they did not exist. You all will be able to individually ask questions of your scenario to me. As we wrap up today and as you all get to finish your lessons, if you all have not gotten to finish your illustration, it will be taken home and turned in and completed by tomorrow. Again, this is an illustration on an ecosystem of your choice using any animals of your choice, depicting if factors of population decline did not exist. You have an example at the very bottom and you're going to go ahead and have time to finish that. But again, now that the time is up, we will have an end of the day reflection. You will need to answer in your notebooks, what have I learned? Did the assignment help me understand it all in complete sentences and complete paragraphs. Again, the reflection underline is something that you need to go ahead and insert into your notebooks, and that will be graded later on. The reflection will consist of what have I learned? Did any other question help? Any on the assignment help me understand? If they did not, right now is the time to go ahead and ask and make sure that all of your questions are answered back from the guiding questions that you had jotted down from earlier, all of your notes that were underlined, along with these reflection questions. So it will be a set of 4 since the guiding questions were 2. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead and ask me now. If you don't feel like asking me now in front of everybody, you can do that at the end of class. And I will be more than happy to answer that for you.